All right, let's talk about discipline, but probably not in the way you're thinking. We're going to connect the massive, sprawling structure of all human knowledge to that very personal, very real struggle of just sticking to your own goals. Let's jump right in.
We've all been there, right? You make a plan. You're going to work out, you're going to save money, you're going to finally finish that project. And then a week goes by, maybe two, and poof, you're right back where you started. What is going on there?
Well, to get to the bottom of why our personal plans seem to fall apart, we actually need to zoom way, way out. We need to look at what discipline means on a massive scale. And I think the connection is going to surprise you.
So, to solve our own little problem, we're going to start with the biggest framework humans have ever created to bring order to chaos. The system we use to organize literally everything we know.
You know, the first thing we got to do is redefine the word discipline itself. Most of us think of it as punishment, right? But it actually comes from the Latin word for to teach or to learn. It's a framework. It's a system we build to gain understanding. And humanity's biggest, most ambitious attempt at this is what we call academic disciplines.
So an academic discipline, that's just a field of study. Think physics or history or economics. Each one is its own little world, with its own set of rules and methods for figuring out what's true and what isn't. It's literally discipline applied to ideas.
And this right here, this is a perfect map of that structure. How does one of these disciplines actually get built in the real world? Let's look at a fascinating case study of engineers who had to create a brand new curriculum from the ground up.
So let's head over to Thailand. A group of universities there had a huge challenge on their hands. They needed to build a completely new engineering program from scratch. And this wasn't just about picking a few classes. No, this was about designing an entire system of knowledge, basically a brand new mini-discipline.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at their first step. They did a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. They were looking at strengths, like their university's good name, but also being brutally honest about weaknesses, like not having enough funding or facing resistance to change. This is basically a business plan for knowledge.
And then they defined their goal. What does the final product, the graduate, actually look like? They decided they needed someone with rock-solid knowledge, for sure, but also with skills like communication and crucial attitudes like a commitment to ethics and being a lifelong learner. They were literally architecting a person.
I mean, just pause and think about that for a second. This is the blueprint for an entire field of study, a whole system of rules, goals, and methods, all designed to produce a very specific outcome, year after year.
Which brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? If we humans can build these incredible, complex structures for organizing knowledge, why is it so ridiculously hard to build even a simple structure for our own lives?
Okay, so let's take this huge idea from the world of universities and shrink it right down to the space between our own ears. It's time to talk about the science of self-control.
So what is self-discipline really? Well, at its core, it's all about a simple trade-off. You give up a little bit of pleasure right now for a much bigger, much better reward way down the line. It's basically a battle between your present self and your future self.
And that's where perseverance comes in. Self-discipline isn't about one single heroic moment of willpower. No way. It's about all those tiny, consistent choices you make every single day. They accumulate, they stack up, and that's what creates massive change over time.
Okay, but if it's that simple, just make better choices, why do we fail so often? Well, it turns out our brains have this, let's call it a built-in glitch, that actively works against our best-laid plans.
Think about it. Why do you choose to watch just one more episode on Netflix, instead of getting a great night's sleep that will make your entire next day better? I mean, the reward for sleeping is way bigger, but that reward for the TV show, it's right now.
This little glitch actually has a name. It's called hyperbolic discounting. It's a cognitive bias where our brain automatically discounts the value of anything in the future. The farther away that reward is, the less valuable it feels to us, even if we rationally know it's better. That pull of now is just incredibly powerful.
Let me give you a classic example. If I offered you a 7-day trip that starts today, or a 10-day trip that starts in 1 month, most people will take the shorter trip right now. That immediate payoff just feels too good to pass up. But now, watch what happens. It's like a magic trick. If we push that same exact choice into the future, say a 7-day trip in 12 months versus a 10-day trip in 13 months, almost everyone switches. They choose the longer trip. When both options are far off in the distance, our rational brain finally takes over. Our preference literally flips.
So what does this all mean?
If our brains are literally hardwired to prioritize the present and sabotage our future selves, are we just doomed? Is willpower a lost cause?
Not at all. The answer isn't to just, grit your teeth and try harder. The solution is to be smarter. We have to build systems that make the right choice the easy choice. We have to create an architecture for our own lives, just like those engineers did for their curriculum. And the building blocks for that system? Habit.
And it turns out, every single habit has the same simple three-part loop. First, you've got the trigger. That's the cue that kicks the whole thing off. Second is the behavior itself, the action you take. And third, you get the reward, that little bit of benefit that tells your brain, hey, let's do that again. If you can consciously design this loop, you can put your discipline on autopilot.
So in the end, discipline is just the framework we use to build things. It doesn't matter if you're building an entire field of science or you're just trying to build a better version of yourself. It's the structure that turns chaos into order. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build?